Hey, unresponsible people. Here's to another random upload, which this one is unusual for my channel as of yet. Today we will be covering cheerleading and how it sexualizes children. Before we go in depth with this video, I'll give you a quick rundown of everything we're going to be covering. We will speak about the history of cheerleading, then we will talk about the acts performed. Finally, we will discuss the activity and how it sexualized children, and seems to only get worse over the years. Cheerleading has been a popular sport for many years and is enjoyed by many people of all ages. However, in recent years, there has been a growing concern about the way that cheerleading has become sexualized, particularly regarding the outfits worn by cheerleaders and the nature of some of their movements performed. Cheerleading has its roots in the 19th century, when university students in the United States began cheering on their sports teams. The first recorded cheerleading rally took place at Princeton University in 1884, and by the turn of the century, cheerleading had spread to colleges and universities around the country, now in high schools. In the early years of cheerleading, the focus was primarily on supporting sports teams and boosting morale. Cheerleaders have led the crowd in cheers and chants, encouraging their team to victory. However, as the sport evolved, cheerleaders began to incorporate more physically demanding movements into their routines, such as jumping, tumbling, and I would say hip and booty shaking, to be appropriate. By the mid-20th century, cheerleading had become a more popular sport in its own right, with the teams competing against one another in local, regional, and now national competitions. The focus of cheerleading shifted from being a support activity to a competitive sport, and cheerleaders were now expected to perform complex routines that often included stunts and gymnastics. Despite its evolution, cheerleading has remained largely associated with the feminine gender stereotypes and mostly comprises of women. In recent times, it seems to be that cheerleading has been seen as a sport mostly for girls, and the focus was on both appearance, physical ability, and boosting morale. However, over time, the sport has become more inclusive, and boys and men are now able to participate in cheerleading. I would still say they're weirdos, but that's for another day. Disclaimer, I did try cheerleading when I was younger. Cheerleading has come a long way from just being a sideline activity at American football games. In recent years, it has gained recognition as a sport in its own right, and has even become a demonstration sport in the Olympics. The history of cheerleading is diverse and dates back to the late 1800s, and it has continued to evolve over the years. However, it is crucial to keep focus on the skills and athleticism of the cheerleaders rather than their appearance. Cheerleading is a physically demanding sport that requires dedication, hard work, and high level of skill. The cheerleaders perform challenging routines that combine acrobatics, gymnastics, and dance. It is important to acknowledge and value the effort and expertise that go into cheerleading and appreciate the athletes for their hard work and dedication. Cheerleading routines frequently include high-energy, physically demanding movements such as jumping, tumbling, etc. While this seems sweet and impressive, these acts are usually performed in outfits that seem to be very sexual in nature. Riding up the woman's butt, these outfits appear to be getting tighter and thinner and shorter over time. This excludes the dance movements, which, depending on the school, age, or area you live in, can range from "what is my kid wearing" and "why is my kid twerking?" The sexualization of cheerleading routines is not complex, but it should raise concerns for many parents about the exploitation of their children. Many of the performers in cheerleading are young girls who do not fully understand the implications of the suggestive and sexual nature of the routines that they are performing. As they perform these routines in large crowds, including many men, who I may add are weirdos for staring or looking at them, they should be watching the game instead of watching a 15-year-old girl say, "Let's go," half-dressed. Anyway, on the outside, these girls may be viewed as dancers and performers, or athletes, but there is a true danger in letting them do the acts that they are currently doing, especially with children. Deep down, these acts are primarily sexual, as opposed to athletes dancing or hyping up a team. Furthermore, the sexualization of cheerleading can also have a negative impact on the self-esteem and body image of the cheerleaders themselves, as they are encouraged to perform in outfits that reveal their chests, butts, or legs. They may feel pressure to conform to a specific body type and appearance, which can lead to feelings of insecurity and body shame. Don't get me wrong, I've seen some fat cheerleaders, but that's not most. This whole thing doesn't even include the injuries that can be caused to children or adults from knee, ankle, and wrist injuries or concussions. It's very dangerous. I've come forward to raise an important issue in the world of cheerleading, as my younger sister is a cheerleader and has a great passion for the sport, which is why I've been inspired to bring attention to this issue. I want to make sure that cheerleading is performed in a safe environment while having a positive experience for all participants, especially young girls, so they can perform these activities and not be sexualized, especially at such a young age. To clarify before you fucking weirdos ask, she is a child and is very young and not close to 18, so don't get any ideas. I went to a few games of hers and I saw her cheer for the first time, and well, something did interest me, and it wasn't her, and it wasn't the cheer routine or the game. While there supporting my sister, I was shocked to see the outfits that they were wearing. Some of the outfits that the cheerleaders were wearing were extremely short and tight, and I couldn't help feel that both these outfits were not only inappropriate, but especially inappropriate for young girls. I sat there with my mother, both of us in disbelief of what we were witnessing. Why are these kids wearing this utter garbage? You're telling me that there's not better outfits that don't exist. But they do. It seemed like the focus was more on their appearance rather than their athletic ability and their skill. It is my belief that cheerleading organizations need to reevaluate the outfits worn by cheerleaders and consider making changes that are more appropriate for younger girls. Additionally, cheerleading coaches and instructors should focus on the athleticism and skill of the performers rather than their appearance and sexualization. By taking these steps, we can ensure the focus remains on the athletic ability of the participants, and that the cheerleading remains a safe and positive experience for all. I have heard some of my supporters who disagree with my position and have raised questions about my concerns. To better understand the issue, I have taken the time over the last few months to talk to friends and family members about their thoughts on the matter. I have heard various questions and concerns from both sides, and I want to address some of the questions in this video. I believe that it's time for the world of cheerleading to have a change, especially for younger women or boys, for the few. The focus should be on the athletic ability and the skill of the participants, rather than their appearance and the sexualization while wearing outfits that increasingly show less and less material. You don't understand. The outfits are meant to be flexible, some of the disagreeers may ask. And I would say in response, they couldn't perform these acts just as effectively if they were restricted? Maybe. I would say two things. First and foremost, I do not care whether they are restricted or not in performing these activities. The second would be, what level of flexibility is okay? Are we trying to get to 100%? Are these outfits even necessary? Wouldn't they have the most mobility in a sports bra and tight underwear? There are sports out there that do have these type of outfits. Many would not want to see their kids in this way. Adults, most likely. But kids, no. So clearly there are boundaries. And mine is having children's breasts lifted and their asses covered by some 4-inch material. Seems extremely inadequate and also extremely inappropriate. If the cheerleaders were at a game full of only women and no men, others may ask, would you feel differently? I have to be logically consistent and say no. The sexualization of children and their outfits should not happen, whether it's women or men who are watching. I would like to use the female named Shauna Ray. She's this short girl who looks like she's about 8 and is actually 23. I honestly feel terrible for this girl, both for her condition and the obstacles that she has to face. But there is one thing that I believe is underrepresented about her story. One of the statements I make must be true about the male partners she may have. Either they find her attractive or they do not. Now, if they don't find her attractive, I would say, I guess maybe they're honestly the 1%. And a little weird. Now, for the rest who do find her even remotely attractive, to me, are just low-key pedophiles. Grown men should not be attracted to children. That is wrong. Period. It should not be promoted. So if most of us can agree on this, then why can't we agree that making individuals, specifically children/kids, and even people who look like kids, and sexualizing them in any way should neither continue nor be promoted in the first place? To end this video, it is crucial that we prioritize the safety and well-being of the children participating in cheerleading. The state of their outfits worn by some cheerleaders is unacceptable and could potentially lead to negative experiences and self-esteem issues. By making appropriate changes to the outfits, we can help create a more positive environment for all cheerleaders. As a society, we must also shift our focus away from the sexualization of cheerleaders and instead appreciate and acknowledge their athletic abilities. This is not only to create a more positive experience for the cheerleaders themselves, but also help shift the perception of cheerleading as a sport. I believe it is the responsibility of cheerleading organizations, coaches, and instructors to create a safe and positive environment for all cheerleaders. This can be achieved by making changes to the outfits worn, promoting athleticism over appearance, and providing a safe and supportive and inclusive environment for all participants, and hopefully have less sexual dancing or movements in their routines as well. I hope that this video / discussion that we just had opens some of your eyes as to what is happening nowadays and why it shouldn't be promoted, and the dangers that can be faced in the sport of cheerleading. I encourage everyone to share their thoughts and ask questions in the comments below. In my opinion, cheerleading falls into a distinct category because it is one of the most well-known and mostly female-specific sports available. My statement as follows for every sport that this falls under, specifically cheerleading in this video: if we cannot create a sport and adapt it to children, then we should not have a sport and allow children to participate in it. That is a quote from me, Unresponsible. Thank you for watching. Be unresponsible. Until another video.